Hi, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Microsoft Post Build session, and I'm very excited to welcome to all of you. Today we are going to discuss something about the DevOps, and our speaker would be Mr. Abdul Rehman Aftab. He's the Microsoft certified trainer, and I have my colleague, Miss Gulnaz Mushtaq. She will be manage this session. So Gulnaz, over to you. Gulnaz, you are on mute. Please unmute your mic.
Okay, sorry for some mic problems. So I start again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Microsoft Post Build 2023 series session. And every year, you know that Microsoft organizes Build both on-site and virtual events. And Microsoft Build presents opportunities for developers and for students, for engineers, and technology professionals to learn more about Microsoft products. And it's also where Microsoft shares major updates for Windows and its suite of productivity apps. And guys, as you can see on the screen, it's our first session of Microsoft Post Build 2023 series. And the session name is Accelerate Software Development with Azure DevOps, Streamline, Collaborate, and Deliver. Okay, so as you can see on the screen that we all are the part of Microsoft Learn community, that is the part of Microsoft Learn platform, and what it does that it engages with a diverse, inclusive, and global community of learners and experts. And you can join these communities as you can see the link on the screen, which is aka.ms/Microsoft Learn community. So this is another link. And also we are the part of that Learn community. And our learning room is MCT Community Pakistan Learning Room. And you can join the learning room from the link given. And we will also share this link with you guys on the chat. And you can join the learning room. And if you are some technology uh, related experience, you can share your experiences over here. And if you are some learner, you will find new things, new opportunities of learning. And also if you are doing some jobs and if you encounter some problem, you can share your problem on this learning room and our experts will resolve the problem. Okay, so we are hosting these series of session from the Pakistan region, and today we are having our speaker who is Mr. Abdul Rahman, and I would um, request Mr. Abdul Rahman to share his slides and start the session. Thank you. Over to you.
Hi, am I Hi, Gulnaz, can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's not clear.
Second, just give me 1 minute and I
Yeah,
will.
now it's fine. Now it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, give me 1 minute and I'll share my slides, okay?
Sure, sure.
Just one more minute.
Okay, guys, while our speaker is presenting, is rectifying his slides, so I want to discuss with you a few things that the Microsoft Community Learning Room is a platform where you will be getting the latest updates about the certifications, about the Learn Challenges. Learn Challenges are basically the series of, you can say, the learning exam learnings where a few challenges are given to you and you have to complete those challenges. And when you complete the challenges, you will get you maybe get the opportunity to have some free vouchers and exam. So if you guys will join the Microsoft MCT Community Learning Room, wait a minute, I just share my screen. So you will get all the latest updates regarding those certifications, challenges, and the opportunities to have the free voucher, free exam vouchers. You should join this link, which is bit.ly. It's from, we have shortened the link because of it was just a kind of long link. So we shorten it through the bit.ly platform. It's bit.ly/3 capital M, capital J, capital Z, capital Q, small f, and 3. Just note down this link and you will get a form and fill out the form and send the request to join MCT Community Pakistan Learning Room. And then you will get an email, whatever the email you will mention in the form. In the same email, you will get some notification. And if you will click on the notification, you should install the team software and you will get the tenant over there. Okay, so Abdul Rahman, are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, sure. I'm unsharing my screen.
Okay, I'll share my screen then. So is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So hi everyone, this is Abdul Rehman. Sorry for the delay due to some technical issues at the last moment. So we had a couple of minutes of delay, but thank you for bearing with me. So let's start quickly. So today's session is all about DevOps, what DevOps is, and how you can accelerate your software development using Azure DevOps. My name is Abdul Rehman, as Gulnaz already introduced me. I'm an MCT, and also I'm a part of TopTel network. So before further ado, let's start. So what's the challenge? What are the challenges and what are the solutions that Microsoft is offering? So let's go with the challenges first. So as you know, disruptions affect every industry and no company is safe. And we all have heard about the new classic examples of Blockbuster being ousted by Netflix, Lyft, and Uber disrupting the traditional taxi industry. And even Twitter is changing the industry of how to consume news and how the media is being vastly collaborated between different networks. And half of the companies, more than 50% of the Fortune 500 companies in 2000 are now gone. and which are now replaced by the organizations that deliver value faster, better, and cheaper than the incumbents did. And the current Fortune 500 companies will very much face the same fate. So technology plays a central role, a key role, an important role in the disruptor's ability to execute and innovate their competition. So, as CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella already mentioned, every company is now a software company. Every company should be a software company in this era of in this era of revolution and in this era of information. So if the company is not a software company, if the company is not delivering value faster, better, and cheaper, that company will now be gone in the upcoming months or years. And the company those are adopting and those are digitalizing themselves with the help of software, with the help of the services that different cloud providers are offering over the globe. So those companies will remain, and those companies will have the better future. But it's not enough to have the world's most efficient and collaborative developers. And so this code needs to be realized in the functioning products that your customers can use. And these products and services need to be reliable, scalable, and secure. So not only you have to deliver value faster, you have to take care of the security first, you have to take care of the product's reliability first, and you have to think about the customer first ecosystem. And traditional methods of delivering an operating system need rethinking, especially in the cloud-based world. A business needs to move fast and innovate, but because of the manual nature of deployment and the siloed organizational structures, processes, and tools, human errors is inevitably introduced, which leads to, number one, highly failed rates when changes are implemented. Number two, those can lead to longer times to recover from outages. So, for example, if your product is on production and it have an outage, and if you don't have an ecosystem in place, you can have longer times to recover, and that will definitely cost you a lot more than when you have the proper ecosystem in place. So I would say you will have more than 60% of the cost if you do not have the software delivery ecosystem in place. But this doesn't improve overall systems reliability and merely introduces low deployment frequency and long lead times for changes. So what developers do, and what are basically the developers? So developers are at the heart of your company's innovation. In the technology in a driven world, the developers endeavors the developers are basically the heart, and from those first line of code, how do you give your developers the best tools to unleash their capabilities and make them their most productive selves? But the productivity does not just come from great tools. You also need to facilitate collaboration. You also need to facilitate some code reusability across your teams. And this basically accelerates problem solving and focuses efforts on solving new problems that are important to your business versus those that have already been solved by others. So as per the Donovan Brown, the definition of DevOps, I love this definition, by the way. So the DevOps is basically the union of people, processes, and products that enables continuous delivery of value to the end users. So basically, customers are the main goal, customer are the main focus, and you as the developers, or you as the ops team, are basically the products, or are basically the main product who are providing them continuous delivery of value. So here the value is the thing, not the continuous delivery of software. So the software can have, you can say, 3,000 line of code, but if one software that is having 3,000 line of codes is not delivering value, it's not much of use. And if one software is that is of, you can say, 100 line of code, and that is delivering high value to the users, so the users will love that software, and the user will definitely retain to your company and your products. So basically, DevOps allows us to accelerate delivery while still delivering reliable products and services. So this is about bringing people together through shared common goals, increased collaboration, and a focused improvement. And technology plays a key role in helping to execute a DevOps strategy by enabling teams to collaborate more, enhance productivity, facilitate experimentation, and also automate their processes from development. It also about rethinking, or it's also about delivering value faster by increasing efficiency, by eliminating waste, and streamlining the feedback to developers to continuously improve their product. And the result will be the better products that deliver faster, and the customer will be more happier. So let's see some of the statistics. So according to a report by the State of DevOps presented by DORA, GORA, the top performing DevOps companies when compared to low performers spends like 60% less time on customer support issues, and also 50% less time on customers that identifies defects and remediation of security issues. So more importantly, they spend 66% more time on new work. They spend more time innovating and less time keeping the lights on, enabling them to be more adaptive, more productive, and their markets are more adaptive in their markets and disrupt their competitors. So if the developers are giving their more time into newer work and less time into the older steps, and keeping the lights on, okay, and keeping the products like, okay, this product is up and running, and if you're not delivering any value more, so the customer will, you can say, you will not be you will not be innovating, you will just be providing the same value over the months and over the years. So what's the solution of these challenges? So the solution from Microsoft is basically to innovate at scale and to deliver with confidence. So we're just run through our overall solution and how this addresses all four areas that enables you to innovate at scale and deliver with confidence. So we looked at how you can use the product from Microsoft. So basically, you can use GitHub to accelerate collaboration and open source development. You can use Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code to maximize developer efficiency. And you can use Azure DevOps to accelerate delivery of your products. And also you can use Azure Security and Management Services to ensure your products operate reliably, scale, and maintain secure. So what basically Azure DevOps is? So there are basically 5 pillars of Azure DevOps. I'll say them pillars. These are different categories as well. So one of them is Azure Boards. Yeah, so one of them is Azure Boards. So Azure Boards are basically like the Kanban boards, and you can create some different tasks in these boards. You can connect the ideas with your teams to the releases. You can basically use the Scrum Ready to help your teams run sprints and stand-ups and plan work accordingly. You can integrate with GitHub commits and pull requests as well. So Azure DevOps has its own Git repository as well. You can integrate GitHub as well. You can integrate other Git repositories inside Azure DevOps. So you can basically integrate those commits and those pull requests with that specific task in Azure DevOps in Azure Boards. And you can also have an insights in your project status and help. What's next? So the next is Azure repos. So Azure repos are basically the same private Git and TFVC repos. So Microsoft basically promotes Git, and they also support the legacy TFVC, which is Team Foundation Version Control System repos in Azure DevOps. So if you have an older product that is already in TFVC, you can use Azure DevOps as well, and then you can later migrate that TFVC repo to the Git repo. So in Azure repos, you can basically do code reviews via branch pull request. You can basically go apply some branch policies and build validations so that no developer can delete the master branch or the main branch even accidentally. And you can also do easy migration path to and from GitHub. So if you have projects on GitHub or if you have projects on Azure repos, you can basically migrate to and from both of them. The third one, and the main one I would say is the Azure pipelines. So as per the name, so these are basically the cloud-hosted pipelines for Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. And these pipelines basically support any language targeting any platform and any cloud. So it's not only supporting Microsoft ecosystem, it's supporting any language, whether it's Python, whether it's Java, whether it's .NET, whether it's F# or anything. It supports every language targeting any platform. Any platform means you can deploy to Linux, you can deploy to Mac OS, and you can deploy to Windows, and targeting any cloud. Doesn't mean that, I mean, you can not only deploy to Azure itself, you can deploy to AWS, you can deploy to Google GCP as well. And it also have native support for containers and Kubernetes. You can use Kubernetes, you can use your own Docker containers inside the Azure pipelines. You can create your own pipelines with the help of YAML and with the help of Dockerfile inside the Azure pipelines. And this Azure pipelines, I would say, is basically this pipeline supports best in class for open source software. So if you have an open source software, you can get benefit from the Azure pipelines. You can create free pipelines for unlimited public repos. The next one is Azure. The next step would be to go to deploy on premises. So not only the on cloud, you can deploy to on premises to any cloud or a hybrid of cloud and on-prem ecosystem. So you have create a build pipeline first, and then whenever the build pipeline is ready, you will go towards the release pipeline to deploy to your own servers, whether those servers are hybrid, whether those servers are on cloud or they're on-prem. And you can also create different stages. So stages can be you can name your own stages, but the most common one stages would be dev stage, QA, UAT, production, performance, etc. And you can also apply some pre and post deployment approvals with the help of gates to automate approvals based on some conditions. So for example, you have the team lead that and the approval of your team leads is required to deploy to any specific stage. So you can put those approvals and put those some of the automated workflows inside the Azure DevOps. The next one is Azure Artifacts. So with the help of Azure Artifacts, you can share code efficiently. You can simply deploy your own DLLs or own NuGet packages or different packages like Maven or npm.js packages to Azure Artifacts, and you can then share these artifacts among different pipelines or among different projects. And then you can keep these Maven, npm, NuGet, and Python packages and more at the same place. So with the help of Azure Artifacts, you can also aggregate from public registries and internal teams, and you can publish and track from any pipeline. So for example, you have your company have their own dedicated team that is working on some of the packages independently, and these packages are being used in multiple products. For example, there is a package called abriv, and this abriv package is being used inside, for example, 3 projects simultaneously. So they will just push the code and they will just deploy that package to Azure Artifacts, and then the pipeline will get the package from Artifacts and then deploy to all of those 3 products independently. And also, you can get benefit from the Azure test plans. You can basically run tests and log the defects from your own browser. You can track and assess quality throughout your lifecycle. You can create tests directly from exploratory sessions, and you can capture rich data for reproducibility. So these are basically all the pillars of Azure DevOps that are basically interconnected with each other to deliver value as a complete set of, you can say, as a complete product. So Azure boards are Kanban boards. Azure repos are basically the repos. You can create, you can migrate to and from Azure repos. You can integrate Azure repos with Azure boards. You can integrate Azure repos with Azure pipelines and Azure artifacts simultaneously as well. And then you can get benefit. So once your code is deployed, once your code is up and running to different stages, you can use Azure test plans to run the tests and see if the product, if your code is passing all the specific tests, and then if your code is having, and if your code is having any issues, you can simply log those defects from your browser, and then you can then go through and investigate those logs. And GitHub is basically GitHub brings the premier social coding workflows to your teams, and breaking down silos and enabling inner source through expertise sharing, through improved code reuse, through cross-team collaboration, and also increased velocity. So GitHub is basically the most used Git platform. So not only GitHub, you can integrate other platforms as well, but GitHub is the number one developer community on the planet. So as per some statistics of, so GitHub, so the most contributions was 1.1 billion in 2018, and so GitHub has long been known as home of the largest open source community in the world, and it continuously grows. Different companies uses GitHub for their open source project. Different companies use GitHub for their private repositories as well, and open source developers made more than 1.1 billion updates to 96 million repositories on GitHub in 2018, and this number is continuously increasing year over year. And GitHub's dominance in open source is the result of their intense focus on developers. So developers choose GitHub because it focuses on providing the best possible environments for building code, whether that's alone or that's together, mean that part of the team. GitHub allows hundreds, even thousands of developers to contribute to the same code base without fear of losing or overwriting your work. After seeing the successful projects being dealt to the open source communities, organizations of all shapes and sizes took notice. And today, GitHub is meeting the demand of some of the most challenging business environments. That includes highly regulated industries from automotive and finance to farming and medicine. So there are a lot of industries, and there are over 5 million vulnerability alerts in 2018, and GitHub is basically providing those alerts so that you can keep your application more secure, and you can as per the newer vulnerability comes in, you can secure your application based on those vulnerabilities. So Azure DevOps has built-in integration with GitHub, so you can use rich integration with Azure pipelines and also Azure boards. So for example, you have a task that says create registration page that register the user to your system. So for example, you have developers, and then those developers, and this task is assigned to one of the developers. So that developer, basically, whenever that developers create a new branch and push some commits to that branch, so those commits will directly be integrated inside the Azure board, so that that the management can see, okay, this is the board, and then this board has this set of work. So and then also you can backtrack that work with the help of those commits and those integrations. And also GitHub has its own Azure Pipelines application inside the marketplace. It's free. You can download that application. I'll shortly show you as well. And the Azure Pipelines basically supports free unlimited build minutes for public projects. So if you have open source projects, all the builds you need using the power of Azure, you get one service that gives you unlimited build minutes, while where you can build on Windows, Mac, and Linux in parallel using the single build YAML file. And you can have, if you have a private project, you can have up to 10 free parallel jobs across Windows, Linux, and Macs. So let's talk about how DevOps come into place, and what was the reason, and what was the and how the DevOps were used in initially before the concept of developer and operations comes into place. So basically, what operations does is operations is typically an afterthought post deployment. Operations teams use usually their own processes and tools separate to the development teams. The redesign of the application for resiliency, security, and governance for an already deployed app is costly and also time consuming. So this means that the best efforts measures are put in place to enable the application to go live, putting the business at risk. And also in the event of an actual outage, this leaves little or no time to react the issues. So the operations teams and the development teams were separate. And for example, if the operations team have to deploy an application, so they have to redesign their application's resiliency and security. So that is a lot of time consuming. So there is a term called shifting left. So the part of the operation teams is basically shift left to delivering and developing as well. So developers basically, so by using these policies during the policies driven governance services and defining our policies in code, we can shift operations best practices left to early in the development cycle. So by left means the right one is the operation. So the right one means is the most recent one. So first you develop an application, then you deliver the value, and then the operations teams comes in that see, okay, uh, the code is having issues, the deployment is having issue, and etc. So also, and we also provide developers with the tools to design apps with resiliency in mind, and providing them continuous monitoring for immediate defection and insights to application issues. We can now detect security. We can now detect security vulnerabilities and risks even before deployment, and governance policies checks validations and applied pre-deployments and enforce post-deployments approvals. And also, and because we are now defining these operations policies as code, just as we do in our application code, with our operational code, we can now take advantage of the same development collaboration and delivery benefits using Visual Studio, GitHub, and VS Code, and also Azure DevOps. And this all means less issues post deployment, which results in less downtime and more reliable products. So these are basically some of the theoretical concepts. We'll shortly look what is how we can implement these practically. So Azure has full set of services to meet all your security and management needs. So the first one is the governance. We have new exciting tools for the governance that is known as Azure Policy. In limited preview, helps you centrally manage your policies. You can do cost management, previously known as Cloudin, that helps organization manage and optimize cloud spend across the multi-cloud environment. And the second one is the security. So we have industry-leading security and continue to make huge investments in this area that helps you prevent, identify, and remediate security threats. And the third one is the resiliency. So the resiliency is basically high availability and production for VMs, apps, data. So it is easy to architect resiliency in Azure. We have several operations, including backup, high availability, and disaster management, also known as disaster recover, that also cost effective and easy to use setup. The fourth one is monitoring. So once you have your application set up, you need to monitor your application. You need to bring all the monitoring capabilities together. So what Microsoft is providing different monitoring tools such as Azure Monitor, that includes application insights, that includes log analytics, network watcher, and other monitoring tools as well. So with the help of these monitoring tools, you can simply monitor your applications. You can check the platform-based logs. You can check the development logs as well inside those monitoring tools, and then you can remediate those issues. And the last one is the automation. So automation means what Microsoft is providing is they have tools for configurations, patching automations, and also PowerShell scripting you can use to automate your workflows. So while we provide a best-in-class pre-integrated solutions, we understand you likely have investments in certain areas. So these areas can be development. These areas can be operations. So you might already be using other third-party tools. So basically, GitHub and Azure are open, and also allows you to use and orchestrate your favorite third-party tools like IntelliJ, like Maven, like Jenkins, like Chef, Ansible, Grafana, Puppet, etc. And also, if you have already made tooling choices such as Jenkins, Terraform, or Ansible, so Microsoft is providing integrations, clear guidance, and documentations to help you get started even faster. So not only you get the most productive development and DevOps tools and platforms with GitHub and Microsoft Azure, but because these integrated with Microsoft Azure, you can deploy to and take advantage of more than 140 services that we have for your use. And these services can be different compute services. It can be different serverless and container services. So this is not a complete listing of all the services on the screen, but highlights of some of the key areas that you can utilize to accelerate your innovation. So you can deploy to the core infrastructure or advanced platform services such as Azure Functions, Azure Kubernetes services, and you can also leverage Microsoft and open source data solutions, AI and cognitive services. So there are a vast range of cognitive services inside Azure. So you can also extend your applications across Azure Stack and hybrid deployments. So Microsoft Azure and Azure DevOps is basically continuing heavy investments in Azure DevOps. They're providing best-in-class continuous integration and continuous delivery tools across the industry. In the next screen, I will show you how Microsoft is basically deploying and developing their own applications from Azure DevOps. So Microsoft itself use Azure DevOps to deploy Azure DevOps. So for example, they have some new feature in this Azure DevOps screen. So they use the Azure DevOps to deploy those features inside Azure DevOps. So this is this vast and this is this reliable. So you can also so they're also building and deploying all the large products in Microsoft from Windows to Office, Minecraft to Team with the help of this Azure DevOps. So if they can deploy Windows or if they can deploy Office, so you can deploy your own products as well. Doesn't matter how large they are, how vast they are, and how expandable they are throughout the different servers. So Azure DevOps is basically global. So there are different regions. So Azure DevOps has more global regions than any other cloud provider. So they have different regions in different part of the world. So you can deploy your own Azure DevOps projects or Azure application to any of the regions that you opt or that you decide. Also, you can migrate from on-prem to cloud with the help of Azure DevOps as well. So moving from Team Foundation Server to Azure DevOps and bringing your data along. So you can benefit from the tools for the Azure DevOps, like global availability. You can get benefit of hosted and maintained environment from Microsoft that supports 99.9% uptime guarantee. With the along with 24/7 support, you can use simplified deployments to Azure. You can use Azure DevOps import service, which is fully supported high fidelity migration path, and now you can faster and easier migrate your own applications to Azure DevOps from the old TFS. So this is the link aka.ms/tfs import. So I guess enough of the theoretical stuff. Let's go practical and see how are the things linked to each other and what are the things that I just mentioned inside my previous slides. So I'll just share my screen real quick. Second. Open up the other tabs. Sign into GitHub. So this is the GitHub, and to go to Azure DevOps, you can simply go to dev.azure.com. And if you're not signed in, or if you're even signed in, you can simply go with start free, or you can start free with GitHub as well. Yes. I hope it's visible now. 1 second. Yeah. So I'll go with sign in. Sign to Azure. And once you're signed in or not signed in, you can simply go to start free. This will take you to the Azure DevOps sign in. And once you're signed in, you will have this sort of screen. So this is basically the main page of Azure DevOps. So if any of you were using VSTS, so it's similar to VSTS, but it has a lot of new features than Visual Studio Team Services. So on the left side, you will have your organization space. So if you can create your own different organizations, you can, for example, if I go into new organization, you can simply uh, get started. You can say that, okay, my organization will be, for example, MS Post Build Park, and it will be deployed to, for example, Southeast Asia. And this is this easy. So you can simply create your new organization, or you can join your existing organization. You can invite your own peers to this organization. Load. Yep. So once this organization is ready, it says that it does not have any project, so you can go ahead and start with the new project. So I'll go with MS Post Build 23. I'll keep it private. Let's say create new project. So once your project is created, so on the left hand side you will see that there are all the new all those pillars and all those categories of Azure DevOps. So you have Azure boards, you have repos, pipelines, test plans, and artifacts. And for example, if you don't want to use some of them, for example, you are using GitHub repos and you don't want Azure repos, you can simply go to project settings and turn it off. Yep. So once you are here, you can simply turn this off. You can use remove repos. And then once you refresh, you won't be able to see repos here. You can simply go ahead to your teams. You can create your own teams. You can invite people to your teams. So for example, if I go to this team, I can simply add users to this team, and those users can then have access to my own project. You can have different settings for pipelines, different settings for boards. So there are a lot of configurations here. I won't go to all of them. So I'll go towards the main stuff. So for example, let's go to Azure boards. So in this Azure boards, you will see that you'll have different work items. You can create epic, you can create issues, you can create tasks. And for example, you can go to Azure boards. So these boards are basically Kanban boards. So I'll create a couple of tasks here. So we have a new boards as well. So I'll simply go to create a task. Example, create registration page. So this one is basically the new task. You can simply create other tasks. You can simply create a new task. For example, get ready for release next week. And also you can simply open up this task and assign to doing or assign to some other stuff. So yeah, here you can say, okay, I'm doing this, and reason is started. And once you have, for example, once you have started it, you say, okay, I've done it. it's completed or it's deleted, it's deferred, it's obsolete. So there are a lot of stuff here. You can add your own tags, you can add your own descriptions here, your own acceptance criteria, etc. So it has a lot of those stuff. So I was talking about different integrations. So here you can add related work. You can say that, okay, this one is related to an existing work item, or this one is related to an existing GitHub or Git repo commit or branch. So you can simply add those stuff here, and it will be linked to that specific work item or that specific link. So it has your own different backlogs. It supports sprints. You can create your own multiple sprints here. So there are a lot of configurations inside Azure DevOps. It's a bit slower. So the task you already created will come up here. You can assign those tasks to different sprints. You can create a new sprint from here. You can simply view them as a backlog. So the backlog view is somewhat like this. Let it load. Yeah, like this. You can simply create a new work item. You can create a new issue. You can create a new user story, etc. So there are a lot of things in here. So what I'll do is I'll simply go to my GitHub and I'll simply create a new pipeline. So for example, if you want to create a new pipeline, so you'll see that you have different options. You can use Git repos, you can use Bitbucket, GitLab, or other Git repository, or you can also use Subversion. And they also have a classic editor. So the classic editor is basically simply drag and drop stuff. You can simply drag and drop things. You can simply select things from drop downs, etc. So like this. And if you are more familiar with the code stuff, if you are more into the coding or the scripting side, you can simply create your own YAML based pipeline. So I'll go with the YAML based ones. I like code stuff. I go to pipelines. I go to GitHub. And in here, if you don't have GitHub authorized, so it will ask you to authorize your GitHub here, and then it will integrate all your repositories here. So I'll go with this. And I'll say, okay, this one is ASP.NET Core App Application. So it will simply create different steps. So you see there are different steps. You can, so first step would be to restore all the dependencies. The second would be to build, and the third would be to test if there are any test cases. So you can simply add your own code here. You can simply create your own tasks. So you have the assistant support available. For example, you want to do some PowerShell scripting. So I'll go with simply say, okay, I want a PowerShell script, and it will be an inline script that says hello world. It has their own variables, and I'll simply click add. So it will add that task here. You can customize that task. So it's this easy. You have assistant support available. So I will just go and simply save with commit directly to master. Okay, so it will commit directly to my master branch. So I'll go with this one here. So you see that it has Azure pipelines.yaml file that is just created, and in this pipeline you have the same set of code. So you can edit this code in VS Code. You can edit this code in Visual Studio. It's up to you. You can use Windows image. You can use Linux or Ubuntu images or your Mac OS images as well. Depends on wherever you want to build this solution. And once this one is ready, you say, okay, I want to run the pipeline so I can test it. Go and run the pipeline. Oops. So it says that because this one is a private part, private stuff, so you have to purchase or request for free parallelism grant. So to do that, simply go to this link, submit a request, and they will grant you free access to your own repo. So you have to put your own organization name. So what I'll do is I'll create public repo, let's say. Let's go in here. So this is simple demo stuff, so that's fine. I'll go to not profile to my GitHub. New public. Let's say ms post build bug or 23. Say post the repo name. Check the availability. It's available, and I'll simply go ahead and create the repo. Oops, I should have created the git ignore. So this one is a Git repo. You can simply invite collaborators. You can simply, if you have your existing application, you can go to existing application. And so you have the pull request support available here. You can create a new pull request. So for example, I go to Visual Studio. Let's see, yeah, here. My favorite Visual Studio. I'll simply go ahead and click create a new project. And I'll go with ASP.NET Core Web Application. I'll go with start. Let's see. With .NET 7 is the latest one. So inside the, let's go inside the Azure DevOps and see how they are triggering and how the CI/CD stuff works, because we have less time, so we have to cover some more things. So if you can go here, okay, authorize. So if you go here, you see that you have different triggers. So this triggers master means it will trigger from master branch. So whenever there is a new change, it will trigger based on that change. So, and you can simply add your own branches here. You can add your own tags as well. You can trigger on some different conditions. For example, I would say, okay, trigger this based on master and dev branch. So it will simply trigger based on master and dev branch. And in here, if you go to variables, so you can define your own set of variables, or you can define your own set of secrets. So for example, you say, okay, my connection string is this, and for example, abc123 is your own connection string. And so then you can use in your code, you can simply put this connection string. So this code will be visible to all the developers, but the connection string will not be visible to all the developers. So it will be visible to only the manager, or only the specific set of persons who are allowed to see this secret. Also, you can keep this value as secret so that this will not be visible to anyone. I'll go and hit OK. And connection string is here. I'll simply click save. So once this is saved, I'll simply go ahead, and if you want to use this, I'll simply, oops. Connection string like this. So once you save, it will save to the same master branch, or you can create a new branch as well. I'll go ahead and quickly save to master branch. I'll go to the pipelines again. So once your dev pipeline is ready, so you see there is a new run, because I just saved, and it says that individual CI. The first one was manual and the second one was individual. So once your build pipeline is ready, you can simply go to your release pipeline, and you can create your release pipeline from here. So the build pipelines means you can build the project. You'd see that, okay, all the tests are passing. And once you have all the tests passing, you can say that, okay, I want to deploy that to my Azure App Service deployment. You can simply apply, and it will create a new task here. Let's select an artifact. So the artifact will be our build here. I'll add it. So whenever there is a new change inside the build, I'll turn on the continuous delivery trigger. So whenever there is a new build and that build is passed, so it will trigger this release pipeline. And in this release pipeline, you have one step. So these are basically the steps, and this will run on the agent. So the agent is this one. You can create your own agents. You can create your custom agents as well. You can deploy to, you can use Azure Pipelines agents as well. You can use Visual Studio agents, depends on whatever the application is. And then if you go to uh, this this step, it will say that, okay, I want to get access to your subscription. You can go ahead and hit manage. So if you have a subscription, you can create your own service connection here. So you can add a service connection here to your subscription. So you see that you have a lot of things available. You can use Jenkins, Jira, Kubernetes, Service Bus. I'll go with Azure Classic. So once you have a service connection ready, you simply have to select the app service type, whether it's a web app for Windows or web app for Linux. You can select the app service name, and it's up and running. I hope that's clear pretty much a lot of things. So this is basically this is the basics of DevOps and how you can get started with DevOps. So this is pretty easy stuff. This is pretty basic, you can say. A lot of things are self-interpreted, so you go ahead and use this Azure DevOps. You can reach out to me on my Twitter handler. I'll share it with on LinkedIn. I'll share it with Usman and Gulnaz as well, so they will share it on their profiles. So you can reach out to them. You can reach out to me anytime, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. Over to you, Usman and Gulnaz.
Usman, I have call for prayer in my background. So, okay, I'm finishing this session. Thank you very much, Abdul Rahman, for the session, and thanks to all the attendees who joined this session. And please stay tuned to Microsoft Post Build 2023 session series, and we will announce the upcoming session very soon. And don't forget to join the MCT Community Pakistan Learning Room to get the technical help from the industry experts and learning experts. So take care, guys, till the next session. Take care and bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining, and see you in next session. Thank you, Abdul Rahman. Thank you, Gulnaz. Bye-bye. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.